If you've ever been told you're too sensitive, but something in your body knew the situation was wrong, this episode will help you trust your own reality again.
Welcome back to the Dark Case Mindset podcast. We're still a small community, but even in a small group, the same kind of stories keep showing up. For example, under one of the videos, someone wrote, "I hate to say it, but I feel really outed right now. I'm about 4 years out of my toxic marriage and it still touches a nerve."
Wow, yeah.
Another person said, "I wish I had known this for most of my life. It would have saved me so much."
And that's exactly who this episode is for. The people who are technically out of the situation, but still don't fully trust their own experience. The ones who hear, "You're too sensitive," and immediately wonder, "Am I? Or did something actually happen here?"
Exactly. And a quick disclaimer before we dive in. This podcast is not therapy and it's not a replacement for professional help. What we do here is education and language, so you can name what happened and make clearer decisions going forward.
Right. So let's start with a basic question and really get into what gaslighting is. And just as importantly, what it isn't, because online, the word gets used for almost everything. Disagreement, forgetfulness, even honest misunderstandings.
That's such a good point. Gaslighting is not someone having a different opinion, someone remembering a detail differently, or someone saying, "I don't see it that way." Gaslighting is a pattern of psychological manipulation where a person repeatedly makes you doubt your own perception of reality.
A pattern, yes. In practice, that looks like this. You bring up something that hurt you, and instead of talking about what happened, they attack your memory, your sanity, or your motive. They say things like, "You're imagining things. That never happened." Or, "Wow, so now I'm the abuser?" Or the classic, "You're overreacting again."
Exactly. The goal, whether they're aware of it or not, is not to understand what happened. The goal is to win the reality war. If they can convince you that your version of events is unreliable, they never have to take responsibility.
And the dangerous part is this doesn't start at level 100. It usually begins with very small edits. That's not exactly how it went. You're remembering it wrong. You're so dramatic. 1 or 2 times, you shrug it off. But over months and years, your relationship with your own memory changes.
Let's talk about that for a second, that slow reality shift. Because gaslighting doesn't just change how you see them, it changes how you see yourself.
Right. At first, you might just feel annoyed, confused, maybe offended. You think, "Why are they twisting this?" Or "Why can't they just admit what they said?" But after a while, you start to feel tired, foggy, unsure. You start to think, maybe I really do remember it wrong. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe it is me.
And your nervous system learns a new rule. Bringing up my reality leads to arguments, confusion, and punishment. Questioning myself leads to peace. So you start choosing peace over truth. You minimize, you swallow comments, you apologize just to make the tension stop.
And here's where it gets really twisted. The more you self-silence, the easier it becomes for them to say, "See, you never said anything. It must not have been that bad." Your silence becomes their proof.
Someone in the comments wrote, "I only realized it when people started pointing it out. I've done this since childhood." And that's key. If you grew up apologizing first, going quiet to keep the peace, or being told you were dramatic, you're a lot easier to gaslight as an adult. You were trained to doubt yourself long before this specific person showed up.
That's such an important point. So to make this practical, let's talk through some of the most common gaslighting phrases people might recognize.
Okay, number 1, "You're too sensitive." The translation is, your emotional reaction is the problem, not my behavior. It moves the conversation away from what they did and onto your character.
Number 2, "That never happened." Sometimes they'll say it with a laugh, sometimes with anger. If it's about a small detail, sure, it can be an honest memory gap. But if it's about big patterns, repeated disrespect, threats, insults, and it happens often, that's different.
Right. Number 3, everyone else thinks you're overreacting too. They suddenly bring in these imaginary witnesses. Even your friends think you're dramatic. Anyone else would be fine with this. But you never actually see these anyone else's. You just feel outnumbered.
Number 4, I only said that because you, or I wouldn't act like this if you didn't. This turns their behavior into your responsibility. The implication is if you were just calmer, nicer, quieter, less crazy, they would magically be kind.
And number 5, it's all in your head. If you hear that enough times, you start to believe your mind is the enemy. And that's when gaslighting has done its deepest damage, when you no longer need them in the room to doubt yourself.
That's so true. And it brings us to something really important, which is why your body often saw the truth long before your brain could name it.
Yes, maybe you felt sick after arguments, tight in your chest when they walked into the room, or numb when they apologized. Maybe you dreaded bringing anything up because you knew you'd leave the conversation feeling more confused than when you went in.
That's not being crazy, that's your nervous system mapping danger. Gaslighting scrambles your thoughts, but your body keeps a simpler score. Do I feel safer after talking to this person, or do I feel smaller, shakier, more unsure?
You know, that reminds me of the comment I read earlier. The person who said, "I've been out of my toxic marriage for about 4 years, and it still hits a nerve." That's what happens when your body never really got to complete the story. The relationship ended, but your nervous system didn't get enough validation that what you felt was real.
Exactly. And that's also why so many people comment things like, "I wish I had known this sooner. It would have saved me so much." When you finally hear your experience described clearly, it's not that the pain appears out of nowhere, it's that your brain and your body finally agree on the story.
Finally agree. I love that.
So, what do you actually do if you recognize yourself in all of this? How do you start rebuilding that self-trust after gaslighting?
Okay, first step, separate "I made mistakes" from "I can't trust myself." You absolutely made mistakes. Everyone does. That does not mean your entire perception is broken.
Second step, start with low-stakes reality checks. Keep a small log in your phone or notebook. What was said, what you felt, what happened afterwards. Not obsessively, just enough to have something to come back to when your brain starts rewriting the scene.
Third step, borrow someone else's nervous system. That can be a therapist, a trusted friend, a support group, or even our comment section where people share similar experiences. When you describe what happened and someone grounded says, "That's not okay," you're not asking them to take over your reality. You're asking for a second opinion while you rebuild your own.
I like that, a second opinion. And the fourth step is to practice micro boundaries. You don't have to start with, "I'm leaving forever." Start with, "I don't want to be spoken to like that," or "I'm not going to keep arguing about what I felt." Maybe just, "I'm going to take a break from this conversation," and then watch what happens.
Right.
If someone cares about you, they might not be perfect, but over time, they adjust. If someone is invested in control, they escalate. That reaction is information.
And the fifth step, listen to your tiny no. Not the dramatic breakdown, but the small tightening when something is off. When you notice it, don't immediately argue with it. Just acknowledge, "Something in me didn't like that." You don't have to act right away. Simply not gaslighting yourself is already progress.
We know the Dark Case Mindset community is still small right now, but even a few honest stories can make a huge difference. If you feel safe, you're invited to share one moment where you realized you weren't actually too sensitive. You were being gaslit.
You don't have to write an essay. 1 or 2 sentences are enough. Someone else scrolling through the comments might see themselves in your words and realize they're not crazy.
And if you want to see these ideas in visual form, case files, relationship red flags, dark lessons about intuition and self-respect, you can find them on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram at Dark Case Mindset.
And if this episode gave you a bit more language for what you went through, it would mean a lot if you subscribed, maybe left a rating, or shared it with one person who keeps calling themselves too sensitive.
This was another episode of the Dark Case Mindset podcast. When you're too sensitive, gaslighting, reality shifts, and how to trust yourself again. Take care of the part of you that never stopped noticing when something was off.
Until next time, your intuition isn't dramatic. It's just tired of being ignored.
And if you're ready to explore this topic of gaslighting and self-trust further, we have more episodes waiting for you. You should see a suggestion for our next video on screen now, or you can find the full playlist of the Dark Case Mindset Mindset podcast right here. Click on whichever one calls to you.